Yeah, I had plans a couple weeks ago to do something, and on that day I was not feeling well. So I canceled plans with this new acquaintance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I'm having some of this kind of a struggle. I also have a physical illness, and it's flared right now. The person said, okay, let's make a different plan. It's okay. And they were so compassionate that my guard wasn't having any reason to keep my guard up. So one, I was physically vulnerable, and then someone's being compassionate. There's no censor in me yet that says this person's about to do what they do. We go out and we have a meal, and it's a nice, gentle time, to not tax my body or my health. Then afterwards, they said that the whole time what they were thinking about related to me was incredibly graphic and sexual. I had no idea. And
Mm.
that's an example of me just not even, I mean, it would never occur to me if somebody else is vulnerable to take advantage of their state of vulnerability and be thinking such things about them, right? My head would be in the place of servitude. And how can I? So that's an example, fairly recent one.
EM, I have something to share with you.
Yes.
Welcome to Earth. It is important to learn the nature of Earth and how it works and how people are here. What you're expressing is a state of very, just it's a very beautiful state of being open, of being vulnerable, of being allowing people in. Uh, People here, for the most part, do not know how to honor that. There are people who do. There's a lot that don't. Um, and you may want to look at the nature of what this place is and how things work here, and then find your balance within that. How I'm not saying to not be open and vulnerable, but I'm saying that to find those few people with whom you can be open and vulnerable and who will honor that. Even in her if in her books, Brene Brown, who is quite the proponent of vulnerability in today's time, she talks about vulnerability is something that you have with those few people who you've come across in your life and you've seen that they can actually honor it. They're not, it's not like you're vulnerable with them this minute and the next thing they're off gossiping about you with your friends. Those are not the kind of people you want to be open with. And there are a lot of folks who do exactly that. And then, of course, you have the case like you described, where you're out with someone thinking they're a friend and you're being open, and now they've got all these sexual agenda in their mind. By the way, I'd like to encourage all of you to share your webcam so that we can see each other, and it's much better to connect that way. Um, a number of you still that I haven't, so it'd be nicer.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It does resonate, and it is exactly what I've concluded, that this phase of my life appears to be a survey of Earth. I'm not doing a great job of surveying it ahead of time because I don't have anyone to connect with. So everyone's going to be new, and therefore there isn't a tribe of people that I
Mm.
can, go to and then just test out new people. It's always a test now. But being seen and heard by you is helpful, right? Because you're able to see my soul's position, the
Right.
juncture that it's sitting in the orbit.
Yeah.
And um, I can only hope to become incrementally wiser by each experience of the survey.
Yeah. What is
But
important is this: you come with a spirit of what I would call innocence, and which to me is a beautiful thing. But that innocence, like any flower, needs to be guarded. It needs to have a fence around that flower because there are many wild animals that do not know how to honor flowers.
so would I be better to not interact with people since I'm pretty much sort of constantly in a level of vulnerability just because of
No,
my status in life? No,
no,
still interact with
it
people.
is not about going from black to white. It is not from going from, it is not about either or.
Yeah.
Then you will gain nothing from the experience of being here. Then
No
you will not
experience.
have, then you will not
Yeah.
have, you will not have tested the waters, nor would you have developed the skills you need to develop to navigate these. The
Yes.
only way that you Learn is by stepping into reality, because you came here to have this experience. And this experience requires that you learn how to maintain your innocence while at the same time exposing yourself to the world. It's a very fine dance, and one that you might want to take some guidance and help on, because there's two ways to learn. You can learn through trial and error, and that's usually fairly painful. Or you can have mentors and guides who can support you on this path, and that could include people who are friends or wherever else you need. But you're going to need some help, or you're going to need to do it yourself. There's really these are the two ways it works, from what I've seen.
Is it okay if I offer
Sure.
something to that?
May I encourage
Um,
everyone to use their webcams if possible, because it's more
sure,
connection,
sure,
more
yeah,
connection
I
happening.
can
Yeah.
do that. Just one second.
I'm
I'll
going to
turn it
bring
off.
that to I'm going to
Yeah.
request everyone to do that,
Okay.
just
All
because
right.
this is a place of connection.
Sure. Sure. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So what comes to me about what you said, I've been um exploited before. I think we all have. And I think there, first of all, is like, I think the real gift that can help protect you from that happening is to get really good at sensing people's energy. See, and so you feel into their energy. There's a gift which is called the gift of discernment, and when you just feel into their energy, pretty much right away you get to a point where pretty much right away you can just know if it's safe and if it's okay, or and it's just sort of like a traffic light almost. It's like you just get a sense there's a red light or a green light there. And I think that's the first word that came. And the other thing is, the key word is boundaries. And so, like, where you know where your boundaries are, and then, like, sort of understanding how your boundaries, then like reconciling where your boundaries are to other people's energy. And I think there's something in there for you. Yeah, I think there is.
I would also add to George's comment to be able to test the waters. So while you're sensing their energy, while you're setting your boundaries, you're clear about what's okay, what's not okay with you. At the same time, to take one step at a time in opening up with someone. Open up a little at a time. Even flowers, if you see, they open up gradually. So it's important to open up step by step, noticing and observing how that person is able to honor who you are and what's okay with you. Or sometimes maybe you need to state to them the obvious. Maybe they're not aware of the obvious. Maybe what's normal to them is not normal to you. So, number of different things.
That's right. That's right. A lot of times, too, people betray who they are by the language that they use. And
Mhm.
very quickly, especially feel into the adjectives that they use, because it's through the adjectives that people use. That's how they color and interpret their experience more than anything else. So you very quick, very, very quickly, when you become sensitive to these things, people will reveal to you who they are.
People do reveal to you who they are. If you're looking and you're watching and you're just observant.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I feel very supported.
Thank you, Em. Kelsey, Brittany, your thoughts, your experiences.
Can I share with M? All right.
Sure.
Okay. So I wanted to say sorry, I'm shy. So if you go to groups like this, like where there's a collective purpose, where people are aligning themselves together to heal, you will meet your people that you can let your guard down with, where people can be more trustworthy with your innocence and your openness. You deserve that.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelsey. That is wonderful. That really, you are right on about that.
Thank you.
Hmm. Brittany, any thoughts? Does that bring up something for you?
I've been dealing with a breakup last week. My boyfriend broke up with me.
Mhm.
Um,
How are
and
you doing?
not so good. It's been hard losing him.
Right?
Um,
Is there
um,
a lot of sadness? Is there a lot of pain that you're going through?
yeah, sadness, just missing memories.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
anxiety,
Anxiety of what happens now?
anxiety
Uh-huh.
about like the situations that I did and everything.
You want to share anything about the anxiety? What is the anxiety about?
Uh, just messing up like the relationship.
That you feel you messed up?
Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
I messed up like 4 times.
And do you think you're the only one who messed up?
I would say it's mostly me, but there's like little things that he could have done, I feel like, to help, like maybe not for that to happen.
Mhm.
And I know I did address it to him. And
I don't know the specifics of what you're
yeah,
dealing with,
I
unless
know.
you want to share that. That what you think is so wrong that you did. But in general, I would say that couples are both to blame. They both have their share of responsibility
Yeah.
and they both contribute to the demise of a relationship, speaking generally. Now,
Mm.
once in a while, you'll have someone who does a whole lot of stuff. That could be the problem. Um, but even couples where there's cheating involved, it's not just sudden, it's not just out of the blue. They've Each of them has played a role in how that came about. So
Mm.
if you, I don't know if you care to share what where you, why you think you're so responsible, or if there's anything that he's done as well. Can you see the balance between things, or
Um, well, what happened is, let's see how to explain it in a short story. Well, pretty much this guy that I dated, like kind of before him, well, he pretty much broke us up this time.
somebody broke your luck?
Yeah, broke us up. That a
How does
guy that
somebody
a
do that?
guy that a guy that likes me,
Ah,
and he pretty much self-sabotaged both of us. But I also like I contributed a little bit in it, like by I saw him maybe like twice, but there was no like I didn't touch him or anything. It was just hanging out and that's it.
and so this boyfriend of yours got jealous.
He told me that I can't speak to him because of the past issues.
Okay.
Yeah, and I betrayed his trust and disrespected him.
Mm.
And I understand like where he's coming from
And
now.
the past issues were, had you had an affair with somebody? Were
Um,
you seeing this guy before?
well, back like it was like 8 months ago or something like that.
Okay.
And I told my boyfriend at the time that I wanted a break to
Okay.
because I was confused of what I want. And then he took it as I was cheating on him,
Okay.
and then his family put that against me and all this stuff.
All right, seems like a long story. So I want to
Yeah,
get
it's a long story.
yeah, I want to get to some of the main principles and points of what we can learn from here. Um, and I think a lot of times, it's just what I've been trying to say to you earlier is that it's important to see how each of us contributes. And if you have done a big part of it, well, then, you know, take a look and see what it is you need to learn from that experience so that
Mm,
you don't repeat it.
yeah,
What is the takeaway that you have?
to not hurt someone you love.
How did you go about hurting someone you love?
Disrespecting them
Okay.
and the
Now,
boundaries.
what we're calling disrespect, I just don't, if you take it too broadly, it's important to know that they're not also trying to control you. So be careful of that. Sometimes that happens too.
Mm,
So that's not disrespecting. Love cannot be controlled. Love
yeah.
cannot be owned.
Mm,
Love cannot be bought. Love cannot be in any way put into a box or limited. Okay.
mm,
Very important to understand the nature of love. Most of the time, we are living in these romanticized notions of love that are based on fairy tales. And that's the model we have. And it's a very pathetic model. This idea that, and they lived happily ever after, or you meet the ideal person and you meet the soulmate. Before they called it something else and now they call it soulmate, but it's the same mumbo jumbo as we always had, right? Different
mm,
names, different faces, but same fairy tale story. Um, Used to be that they were looking for Prince Charming. Now they look for soulmates. It's the same thing. um, the truth is this: it doesn't matter whether you meet your soulmate or you meet an inmate. The point is, you're going to have to, if you truly love someone, what is important is to learn how to honor love. What does it take? And I'll tell you a short, very short answer to that. There are two things that are incompatible: love and your mind. They don't go together. So as long as you're in your head, you will be out of love. And if you're in love, you will be out of your mind. It's a meditative process to be in love and to stay in love. This is the key. If you go into your head, you're going to find you might have the relationship, but you won't have the love. You won't have the passion. You won't have the sweetness. You won't have the freshness, the beauty, the joy that love brings. If you try to take love is like that bird, you try to put it in a cage, it will stifle. It will not survive in that cage. That cage of ownership, that cage of possession, it will not survive there. It needs freedom to breathe, to be yourself. If you're going to change yourself in the course of loving someone, the same thing will happen. They'll fall out of love with you because they fell in love with somebody. That somebody changed to become like the other person. Now they don't love you anymore. You say, but I changed for you.
mm,
They fell in love with you the way you are, and you need to honor who you are and who you were at that time, because that's what they love. Then they try to control you, they try to make you something else, and then they fell out of love with you. Sad story. It happens all the time. So the lessons we've learned from love. What are some of the lessons you've learned? Kelsey, would you like to share something? Or
Um, sure. So one of the lessons I learned from love is that when you look to people to fill you up inside,
Hmm,
then you're not honoring who you are and who they are. You
it's
know,
beautiful. Yes. Yes.
I learned that lesson. I'm learning it every day.
Actually, no one can fill you up from inside. No other person can do that. That's your responsibility. No other person can make you happy. That's your responsibility. No other person can make you even feel loved. That's your responsibility. They can be the icing on your cake. They cannot be the cake. They can be the affirmation of what you already feel inside you, the validation of what you feel inside you, the external manifestation of what you feel inside you. But the feeling has to be in you. The feeling of love has to be in you. You say, well, how do I look to somebody else to love? That's not how it works. Find love within yourself first. Then you will easily find it in another. Then you will know how to let that person treat you in a way that is honoring of you. And then you will never be afraid of losing love.
So it's like that Rumi quote, you are what you are seeking, right?
Beautiful. That's right. You nailed it.
Thanks.
You are what you are seeking. Exactly. Thank you for joining the dots on that one. You are what you've been seeking. Yes. I mean, it's a much bigger concept, what he's talking about. It applies to everything that you're seeking in this world. What do you seek in this world? Think about it. Do you seek happiness? Do you seek love? Do you seek safety? Do you seek what? What else do you seek? Knowledge? What else? Do you seek beauty? Do you seek peace? What do you seek? Is there anything else?
Safety.
Yeah, safety.
I think power. Everybody seeks a little bit of power too. A little bit of
Seek
control.
power. Okay.
Nurturing.
Huh?
Nurturing.
Nurturing. Okay. Anybody else? Now take what Rumi said and apply it. You are what you seek. In other words, everything you're seeking is right here within you. And if you're not feeling it, then begin that journey within. Begin that journey to go within yourself and find the security you look for, the peace you look for, the happiness you look for, the love you look for. It's all here. It's all here. These are all colors of the same rainbow that lies within you. These different things you're seeking in the world, they are colors of the rainbow of your soul. I'm not just being poetic, and I'm not just being, I'm not just making something up. This is for real. This is the most real thing there is. But it will seem to you as if it was a fairy tale because you've believed the fairy tale. And so therefore that has become the reality, and this has become the fairy tale. And to switch over is the challenge. So to do that, one has to learn to quiet the mind, and through meditation or any other process, one has to learn the path. So love is a spiritual path. And on this path of love, all the enlightenment that a yogi goes through or a meditator goes through can be accomplished right here on the path of love. So when I talk of loving soulfully, it is because of that, because to me, that is the path. That is the path to the divine. That is the path of self-love, and that is the path to loving another, or loving everyone for that matter. But it starts from here. It starts from finding you. You are the one you seek. It's in my book, Loving Soulfully. I don't know if you have it. And if you don't, please go to lovingsoulfully.com and download it. It's free. Absolutely free.
Even though it lies within us, that which we're seeking, could we say that a big part of the reason that we came into these bodies to experience form is that it's a lot of time it's through the interaction with others and interacting with the world and all the forms in the world that brings it out of us. So even though it's in there in potential, a lot of times there's a sort of an interaction needed to bring it to life.
Mm, mm,
Would you feel that's
absolutely.
there's some truth in that possibly?
100%.
Okay.
The world was designed for you to learn. This is a 3D learning environment. You go to school and college, you learn through books. Here you learn through three-dimensional reality. Now, this 3D reality is not your home. That's the mistake we make, right? You're not going to live happily ever after out here. You have a longing for living happily ever after. This is true, but not the fulfillment of it. You have the longing for eternal love, but not the fulfillment of it here. So, in pursuing it here, what you've been given is you've been given a choice. You could choose an alternate reality. This is a alternate reality, a virtual reality. Like now I have this, recently I got one of these VR headsets. Intriguing little thing. Checking it out. Because to me, these eyes, they're looking at a virtual reality all around me in this world. This world is a virtual reality. None of it is what it seems to be. 99% of what you see around you is air. It's the molecules, even the solid things you see, they're made up of 99% air. It seems solid. It even hurts if it hits you, but it's air. There's just atoms and protons moving in space, creating this energy field. That energy field is now appears to be real, so real that in fact it will hurt you and kill you even in the right circumstances, a car accident or whatever. But it's that real. Now, the question is, if all of this is been designed in a certain way, what is the intent of that? What is the intent of this place that we've come to? And that intention cannot be achieved by withdrawing from the world, by going away and not interacting, like M was saying. Nor can it be experienced by simply living in your head, because now you're in the head. This is the one that creates the virtual reality. If you really want to know how to switch off the virtual reality, you have to come into your inner reality. This place here, your soul, that's the real thing. You have to so you've been given a choice to live in the virtual reality, or a choice to find your true reality, your true self, your eternal self. You can live in the illusion and play this game if you like, or you can find the true nature of who you are and now start to live from that place. This is the choice you've been given, to live truth or to live illusion. What do you want? If you want to live truth, that is what I call loving soulfully, or for that matter, living soulfully. But it's learning to live from the soul, from the authentic self, from the true essence of who you are. Not from your mind, not your desires, not your ego, not your fantasies, but from the real nature of who you are. Then, for that, as you said, George, you're going to interact with the world. Then you're going to go through the experiences you go through, and those are all required. Em brought up some experiences she had. Brittany brought up some other experiences. So did Kelsey. So the point is, you'll all go through these experiences. Those experiences will show you what you need to work on for yourself. A part of it is what they'll bring up is a part of what. So a lot of people get caught up in just looking at the experiences of their childhood, for example, that are getting triggered in their relationships. Yes, that's a part of it, but there's more to it than that. And the more is about, through those experiences, finding who you are. Because none of that defines you. None of your experiences, your story, your life, none of that defines you. Through that, you get to discover certain hidden meanings. If you're dealing with jealousy, like Brittany was pointing out, then yeah, that's a major life lesson to learn how to deal with that. If you're dealing with loss, that's a big lesson to learn. Right? These big lessons that are there, how do you deal with them? Right? For a lot of people, if they lose someone they love, they'll cry for a bit, then move on, find another person. You haven't learned the lesson of love. You haven't learned the lesson of loss. In Loving Soulfully, I talk about it. There's a big period of loss for me. And through that pain and through that hurt and through that sadness, I learned some of the most powerful things that I wrote them down in this book. One of the things I learned was, and which completely shifted my entire understanding of relationships and love, is that love is not a person. It's not about finding the perfect person. Love is an energy that flows through you to the other person and through the other person to you. It is the energy of the divine. How do I say this? Because in one moment you thought it was coming from this person, then this person left. You went through your mourning, your grief, and then you found another person. You say, oh, this love is even more amazing. Now I found the one. Earlier you called that one the one. Now you call this one the one. If this one leaves, the next one who comes, you'll call them the one. So which one is the one, and is there really one? You see, perhaps there isn't such a thing as the one. In Loving Soulfully, I wrote, broken and tormented, you come to me asking, where is love? Why am I alone? Why does love torture me? Now look at your creation. Look now at your creation, the inner voice says to me. Look now at your creation. Do you find beauty, peace, joy, freedom, hope, and love? Or do you see battlefields littered with pain, hurt, anger, sadness, and fear? You have turned to people and things to meet your needs for love, happiness, pleasure, and security. You have chased money, fame, and power. You have believed in science, religion, and politicians. You have worked hard, played hard, and tried every thrill imaginable. Yet no matter what you believed or did, no matter how much or how little you have had, your thirst was never quenched. You have been chasing shadows life after life. What you long for cannot be found outside of you. What you long for cannot be found outside of you. The treasure you seek, the answer to all of your troubles, lies freely, endlessly, and abundantly within you. Within you lies yourself, your soul, your essence. Therein shall you find the fulfillment of all your desires. Therein shall you find unlimited, everlasting love, peace, joy, and wisdom. What you do not see within will be invisible in your world. And what you see within, you will find everywhere. Think of that line. What you do not see within will be invisible in your world. And what you see within, you will find everywhere. If you have not found love within you, you will not find true love outside you. So it will be invisible in your world. What you have not found, what you do not see within will be invisible in your world. If you haven't found happiness within you, then happiness will be invisible in your world. Because you are the one projecting into your world. Like this is the movie projector, and the world is the screen. So what is not in the projector, how can it be on the screen? It is through this that you are seeing the world. It is through this that you are experiencing the world. If what you are seeking is not here, then it will not be there either. So if you want true love, this is your time. You have come to the right place. Learn about it. What is true love? And how can you access that? Starting with the place within you. And then from here, how to manifest it into the world. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. That is the difference in this approach. If you're really interested in that, come to these meetups. If you're really interested, join my other groups. I have groups going on, or come work with me one-on-one, whichever way you want to do it. But do it. Get to the bottom of it. In Loving Soulfully, I continue with writing here. Love not another unless you have learned to love yourself. Seek not the one who will fulfill and love you like no other. The one you seek lies within. Love not another unless you have first learned to love yourself. Seek not the one who will fulfill and love you like no other. The one you seek lies within. You are the one true love for which you long. You are the one you desire. You are the one who will fulfill you. You are the lover and the beloved. You are the source of all your suffering and joy. You are the destroyer and creator of your world. You are the God of your life, and everything revolves around you. You are full of endless possibilities and wondrous miracles. No one can open the doors to the paradise within except you. No one can free you from the prison of existence except you. No one can save you, liberate you, or enlighten you except you. No one can give you what you need unless you give it to yourself first. Your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you.
Kelsey, do you have your hand up intentionally?
Oh yeah, but I'll let everybody share first because I've shared a lot. Thank you for looking out. Thank you.
Em, did you want to say something?
I feel really grateful for your existence and that you have chosen to alchemize what you've gone through in this way. And I'm having tears in my eyes because I know the words that you're writing through lived experience.
Yeah.
And that's the first life that I lived in this life, was
Mm.
introducing people to what can be possible.
Yeah.
And I was long short of it. I decided to stay on Earth when I was invited to leave so that I can learn humanity from the ground up, from a whole other perspective.
Mm-hmm. You had a near-death experience? Hello? Em?
Part of my decision to stay came with an exchange.
Mm. Was that something you'd like to share? The exchange?
It's redeeming of the daily trials.
I think we're missing something you said.
I'm so sorry. I guess it cut out. I don't know where it did. Hopefully you heard that.
We only heard that there was some kind of an exchange, and that was that's all, really.
That there would be other people like you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you.
Okay. That there would be people like you who would step into the role that you're in. That frees me to step into the new role that I came into. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, you need to find your place as well.
So I had a place that I lived for the decades that I lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just letting you know that I've got gratitude for the fact that you decided to step into the path that you were in, because of you yourself being so beautiful but also because it frees me further from needing to go back and dip into path that I have lived, right? So that I can just be here in the now,
Right.
which is the ordinary, extraordinary study of human beings, as one of them on the inside, opposed to somebody who's got perspective from the outside. So I know this makes sense to me. It may not make sense to everyone listening, but I'm speaking what is,
What is true for you.
yeah.
So that phrase you use, to find the extraordinary in the ordinary, is something that I was doing in this entire book as I wrote it. The pictures you see there were part of that exploration. I'll show you just a little of that, just to tell you the ordinary, the beauty that is found in ordinary things. Let's take one of these. This was part of that exploration. So let's take a picture like this. Most people tell me, oh, they think they're looking at something in outer space. No, this was a dirty puddle of water by the side of a lake, some muck that was there. But within muck, there was beauty, if only you'd stop and look. So within the ordinary lies the extraordinary. Within everything of this world, there is beauty, if you're willing to look. Even in the people, even the messed up ones, there is beauty. And it's our job to look, because there's none amongst us, not me, not you, not anybody else, who isn't messed up, who isn't flawed, who isn't imperfect. At one level. At another level, we're totally perfect, flawless, incredible beings. Both these realities are sitting simultaneously with each other in this body, in this being that you are and I am. Both flawed and perfect, both beautiful and messed up at the same time.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
And now learning to reconcile these two realities is very interesting. If you can no longer define yourself as either this or that, if you can start to see yourself not defined by your flaws, not defined by any aspiration for perfection, then you'll come to the point where you begin to close the gap where these two pieces come together. The beauty and the beast.
Did I comment on that?
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay. So what comes to my mind, one of my favorite quotes I really like a lot that I read in some book somewhere, we become what we gaze upon. And so recognizing this, that we live in the dualistic plane here, good and evil, light and dark, plus and minus, male and female, sun and moon. So that same duality of good, the light and the dark exists within us as well. And so, but like, see, the ego wants to push away the ego doesn't want to accept the shadow side. And so we push it away. But just to like be able to be with the shadow side, to know it's there, but then continuously bringing it into the light and gazing upon the light. And it's through that process, which is really in the end is very gentle, that's to me, that's where a lot, the path of transformation. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So the shadow part that you're talking about is actually in the ego itself. It is part of the egoic mind.
Right.
And it is the product of lifetimes of experiences and wounds and so on and so forth that are impregnated within you. Now, none of that is you, and yet it is you. This is the dichotomy you're living with. All of us are living with. How do you navigate your way through that? You're right, George. It will come up from time to time. It will reveal itself. And at that point, when it does, That's where the healing needs to happen. So a lot of folks, for example, will talk about triggers, right? And they'll say, well, you triggered me, and now I don't want you to do that ever again. I say, no, let those triggers happen. Because when they happen, you get to notice the parts of you that need healing and that need to be loved and that need to be cared for and nurtured. So allow them to come up. And as they come up, hold them lovingly. Embrace them with all their flaws, with all the messed upness that is there. This ability to love unconditionally, to love the parts of you that are broken, to love the parts of you that are flawed, is exemplified in something that the Japanese do in their art, and it's called wabi sabi is the name I've heard. There might be other names to it as well, where they take a broken vase and then they put pure gold into the cracks of that vase and decorate it that way. And it's this incredible thing that something is broken, but instead of throwing it away, I honor it with pure gold. So when you see your shadow, when you see the brokenness within you, the flaws within you, the imperfections within you, and as they emerge, instead of judging yourself for being flawed, for being messed up, how could I do this? What is wrong with me? Instead of being critical of yourself, you pour into the cracks and crevices of your brokenness the gold of love. And in that way, you bring yourself, you take that and you honor that brokenness that you are as a human being. And instead of now discarding yourself and diminishing yourself, you place that in a beautiful light where those pieces of gold can be highlighted and can light up those flaws in you. Instead of becoming things to be ashamed of, become things that you honor and value and cherish, because they are teaching you the most important lessons of life. They are teaching you acceptance. They are teaching you unconditional love. They are teaching you how to be able to love in a way that is so much bigger than your egoic mind could ever have thought of. And is with that love that you will walk into the world to love others. It is that heart of yours that will allow you to accept reality with all of its ups and downs and all its messed upness.
Can I share? Go ahead.
Pardon?
I wanted to share a quote, but it sounds like you want to say something too. So go ahead.
No. I wasn't.
So everything that inspired me to help me remember a quote. It's so we think that when everything comes together, we'll find peace. But when we find peace, everything will come together. That's what reminded me of your writing. That quote.
Yeah, I like that. When we find peace, everything comes together. It's not the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, most people look for the ideal. Okay, that's a lovely way. Most people look for the ideal situation to find peace, right? Find a perfect meditation room, find a perfect spot and beautiful place in nature. I used to challenge myself by going into the noisiest places. I said, if I can find it in nature, now let me go out to a noisy place. Let me go to an imperfect place. Let me go to the busiest, craziest place in the heart of the city. And can I find my peace there? I used to do these kind of experiments. And really, if you challenge yourself, you will. And the same applies with your triggers, the same applies with your shadow. Instead of tiptoeing around it, walk right into it. Challenge yourself, build the muscles within you of greater acceptance, of greater love, of greater possibility. Right? Because then only will you develop yourself into what you're capable of. Now, just to go over some logistics, we are here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Pacific time and would love to have you back. There is a meetup. If you go to meetup.com, you'll see the group there, Loving Soulfully. I'm sorry, you'll see it is called Loving Soulfully. But But if you'd like me to have you on the mailing list, just go ahead and put your email in the chat area. If you want to keep it private, just send it just to me as a private message. But I'd love to add you to the mailing list so you can get reminders every week to join us. And that way, we'd love to have you back. And if you're interested in any of the other things that I'm doing, just go to my website, rohitjuneja.com. I'll put it in the chat as well. There you go. So if you want that from the chat, lovingsoulfully.com, you'll get the book. And at my website, you'll know more about what I do. And I'd love to see you back again here, where we can usually meet from 8 to 9. There's also a meeting we do earlier from 7 to 8, where we talk about the Bhagavad Gita, which is an ancient spiritual text from India. And we discuss the spiritual wisdom there. I really feel the need for people to learn about some of the ancient wisdom because they're all familiar with the modern day stuff. But you know what? You need a bit of both. You need a bit of the ancient and the modern to get some grounding in your spirituality. So, all right. So please do mention those of you that are new here. Please put, if you don't mind, put your emails in the chat so that I can add you to our mailing list. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Brittany. I got it. Thank you. Kelsey, I don't know if we have your email, if you could want to put that down.